Sri Krishna Parabrahmane Namaha. Sri Sadguru Paramatmane Namaha. Sarva Maharshibhyo Namaha. The Lord declares that He would lift His devotees from the ocean of samsara. 6th Shloka. Ye tu sarvani karmani mai sanyasya matparaha ananyenaiva yogena mam dhyayanta upasate. 7th Shloka. Teshamaham samudhartha mrityu samsara sagarat bhavami na chirat partha maya veshyitam chetasam. Substance. O Arjuna, those verily who renounce all actions in me think of me as the only refuge and worship me with single-minded devotion and dhyana. To them I become the savior and quickly lift them up from the ocean of death and samsara. Commentary. In the first verse, the path to be followed by the seeker, and in the second, the highest reward of such sadhana are mentioned. The path of sadhana includes three things: renouncing all actions to Him, considering Him as the sole refuge, the highest goal, worshipping Him with undivided mind. In this way, if man worships God, he becomes the Savior and lifts him up from the ocean of samsara. What wonderful reward for his worshippers! The Lord's offer should inspire all human beings with joy and faith. They can derive consolation that they shall be freed from the fearful, agonizing tortures of worldly life. For the individual jiva, who is whirled about from birth to death and from death to birth again and again from time immemorial. Punarapi jananam, punarapi maranam. These words of the Lord indeed have the potency of nectar. What the lifeboat is for the drowning man, so is the Lord for the unfortunate humanity. He would lift them up from this terrible ocean of samsara, but man should lift up his hand towards God, obtain His grace by devotion and self surrender. For others who deny Him, who do not think of Him, there is no hope. The Lord is indifferent to them. They should have to wander about in the wilderness of ignorance and death. If man does what is expected of him, the Lord is ever by his side to help him. What can God do if man refuses to accept him and seek for his help? Therefore, the wise man, understanding his terrible fate in the wheel of samsara, should strive in every way to obtain God's grace. Nothing else can cure the disease of worldly life. Etu, all men are qualified to obtain God's grace. Sarvani karmani, all actions done by man should be surrendered to God. Ananye naiva yogena, after speaking of several yogas like karma, gnana and dhyana, etc., the Lord brings out another yoga, Ananya Yoga. This is not a separate yoga, but no other yoga can yield proper fruit if it is not Ananya Yoga. Single-mindedness, renunciation of all worldly thoughts and actions is the essence of this yoga. Then any yoga acquires tremendous power. Mama dhyayanta upasate. Here the word dhyana is added to the upasana. It is not simply worship without understanding, but worship combined with deep insight into the meaning and significance of the worship. When doing japa, the sacred mantra should not only be uttered, but its meaning also should be contemplated. Similarly, when worshipping the Lord, His divine nature, form, and qualities should be thought of deeply in concentrated manner. Patanjali explains the same thing in his Yoga Sutras. Tatra pratyayikatanata dhyanam samudharta. God is a perfect savior. Mrityu sansara sagarat. Sansara is compared to an ocean. It is fearful like the ocean, infected with deadly dragons of desire and hatred, kama and krodha, never at rest and peace, always bubbling and boiling. Man is naturally terrified by it, and yet some people think of the pleasures of samsara, wish for such fleeting joys. It is nothing but ignorance. They have yet to realize the foul and filthy nature of samsara and the terrible end that comes to them through it. The Lord states it here Mrityu samsara. Nothing can be truer description of the wheel of birth and death and the horrible sorrow and suffering during the interval between the two. Man who is bound to this track should naturally seek for God's grace, the embodiment of bliss and blessedness. Nachirat, man is saved quickly. Gajendra, Prahlada, Ambarisha, and Draupadi are examples. Question: what is the nature of samsara? Answer: like the ocean, it is boundless, unfathomable. It leads to birth and death. Question: how to escape from it? Answer: by seeking for God's grace, man is lifted out of ocean. Question: how to win God's grace? Answer: by renouncing all actions to Him, by thinking of Him as the whole sole refuge, by fixing the mind in Him and worshipping Him with single minded devotion, man obtains God's grace. In 4 verses, the Lord explains different practices to be followed by the devotee and first mentions establishing the mind in Him. 8th Shloka Mayyeva mana adhasva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivasishyasi mayyeva atha urdhvam na samshayaha. Substance. Fix the mind firmly in me only. Place the intellect in me. Thereafter, you shall live in me only. There is no doubt about this. Commentary. The Lord is now teaching various practices to reach Him, one after another. The Lord is clear and simple in the teaching, like an able teacher when he is instructing a young boy. The first lesson is fixing the mind firmly in Him. It is not enough to fix the mind only, the intellect also should be placed in Him. Why? The intellect is the deciding power, and without its direction, the mind wavers and wanders away from the goal. The mind thinks and the reason decides. It is reason, buddhi, which takes the final decision that the Lord alone is real and all else is like water in the mirage. By the very power of this decision, the mind becomes one pointed and is then established in God. If the mind wavers, it is because the intellect has not decided aright. So, the Lord here says that the intellect should be placed in Him. Then meditation becomes deep and firm. Man then lives in God. Like salt dissolving in water, the mind becomes that which it contemplates. Thinking of the Lord by giving up all the evil qualities arising from ignorance and past samskaras is moksha. This is what is meant by living in God. The Lord adds, there is no doubt about this. Follow this practice and you shall live in me, declares the Lord to all mankind and assuredly confirms his declaration. The devotee's duty is stated here and his future is taken over by the Lord. Na samshayaha, there is no doubt about it. What should be the faith of the devotee when the Lord gives such an assurance? Maya eva, in me only. The mind should not move away from the Lord towards any other object. Question: where should the mind and reason be fixed? Answer: in the Lord only. Question: what is the result? Answer: man lives in God. There is no doubt about this. The Lord explains what the aspirant should do if he cannot fix the mind in Him. 9th Shloka Atah chittam samadhatum na shaknosi mayi stiram abhyasa yogena tato mamichaptum dhananjaya. Substance. O Arjuna, If you are not able to fix the mind firmly in me, then desire to reach me by the yoga of constant practice. Practice constantly and fix the mind in me. Commentary. The Lord offers certain alternatives for those who are not able to follow the path pointed out in the previous verse. How much the Lord is interested in his devotees, how kind and compassionate he is to all. The mind is the cause of bondage or limitation. Mana eva manushyanam karanam bandha mokshayaha amrata bindopanishad. So the mind should be dissolved in Paramatma, God, for attaining moksha. The Lord exhorts Arjuna to attain that state by the yoga of constant practice. There is no other way. Everyone should strive for this state of withdrawing the mind from external objects and fixing it in the self. If in the beginning it is not possible, by slow and steady practice, the mind should be trained to enter the inner sphere of Atma. As moksha is nothing else but merging the mind in Atma, all seekers should achieve it sooner or later. In the sixth discourse, the Lord has already pointed out the truth. Abhyasa Yogena. This yoga is the common ingredient in all the yogas karma, bhakti, dhyana, and gnana. Without it, no yoga could develop and lead the person to the goal. Generally, the seekers put this question to their master, Guru. Revered Sir, my mind is unsteady and I am not able to fix it in God. What shall I do? The Lord gives the answer to such seekers here. He says that there is no other way except to control the mind by long and untiring practice. In the sixth discourse, Arjuna raises the same issue and the master answers it clearly and finally. Abhyasena tu kaunteya vairagyena cha grishyate. As there is no other way, all men should try their best to control the mind by steady practice and dispassion. Question. What should man do if the mind is unsteady and does not rest in Atma? Answer. The aspirant should achieve that state by constant practice. There is no other way.